We brothers from Inglewood podcast once again. I'm Hoopie. This is my co-host Charley Mack coming to you once again live and direct. Interesting topic today, but before I introduce it, I want to say thanks to Coalesce Group and to Fruit Off the Vine, our sponsors and partners. Thank you for allowing us to attach our brand to yours and all the things that you're doing in your industries. For you that are following us on this platform, please like, share, and subscribe to this platform. Let us know in the comments what you're feeling, what you're thinking. Make some suggestions, and we'll move forward and dialogue with that. I'm gonna throw it to Charley Mack before we get going.
We back in the building, y'all. Once again, we about to give it to you guys raw and uncut. What we try to do weekly. That's the pilot. I'm the co-pilot. You guys are the passengers. Make sure you keep them seatbelts nice and tight. Make sure to you get a little turbulence. You got to stay in your seat until the pilot turn off the seatbelt signs. But before we get this plane pushing, we don't own the rights to this music, you dig? But it sure sound good, don't it, Cam?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So without further ado, strap them on. We gonna get this plane.
Well said, bro. Well said. This is gonna be fun. I think this is not to make light of anything in a negative way or derogatory, but it's real.
Yes, sir.
And so the question comes as a topic, but in the form of a question.
Yes, sir.
Is ignorance inherited?
No doubt.
Is ignorance inherited? I think, ignorance isn't necessarily a bad thing unless you choose not to know. Because ignorance is basically unaware. You don't know. You don't know, and sometimes you need to find out.
Yes, sir.
Some things it's not worth even delving into because some things are just negative. However, information is information.
No
and that's
doubt.
why I always say, everybody's not going to go to college. Everybody's not going to obtain degrees and higher learning in that capacity. But I believe information is for us all.
No doubt.
We all should be ever learning and gaining information as we go through everyday life. So I say that to say this. I believe ignorance is inherited because some cultures and environments are not pro-education, meaning there are not a lot of teaching moments, teaching tools, and components that would enhance one's intellectual capacity. So that's my take on it. I know I'm going to get a little further into it, but just to answer that question for the audience, from my point of view, I believe ignorance is inherited.
No doubt.
What about you?
It's funny that a couple minutes ago you had mentioned something about, ignorance and how it, you need to get the information for yourself or whatever. I'm going to tell you something. You're right. I'm going to tell you why you're right. In law, the judge will tell you, or let's say you go to court and, your defense is, well, judge, I didn't know because it said this, but then, it said this before. You know what the judge going to say? Ignorance of the law is not a defense. It's like you said, you got to go find out yourself. So ignorance of the law and ignorance is not a defense in law because you didn't know and because you didn't find the time to go and delve into it and research it.
Yeah.
It's not a defense.
That doesn't help.
The judge is not going to say, "Oh, you didn't even know, so we're going to let you go this time, slap on the wrist." But next, no. Ignorance of the law is not a defense. So I say that to say this. I think ignorance is inherited. I think when you've been taught a certain way and you've been bred a certain way, and let's say your parents were ignorant and your parents' parents were ignorant and they didn't teach the parents, and then the parents didn't teach the kids, then you're gonna get everything that they know. And that's how it becomes a situation where you start questioning men and women and start saying, wait a minute, is this person that ignorant? They're doing this, or they're doing that? You know, like, perfect example. Let's say you're riding down the street and there's a car parked in a street that's double parked, and they're sitting in the car having conversation with someone on the outside of the street.
Mm-hmm.
And you sit there and you wait, you know, a couple seconds, and you honk the horn.
Mm-hmm.
When this person want to get out of the car and shoot you or fight you because they're in the wrong, that's ignorance. And
Okay.
we see that a lot.
Okay.
We see that a lot when people are behaving badly and they don't understand that, you know, what you're doing is ignorant.
Well,
And they don't get it.
exactly. Perfect point that you just made, because ignorance is a lack of knowledge and awareness. So, in general, just in general, not
doubt.
always specific, but in general, it's a lack of knowledge and awareness. And so, when you don't know any better, you go through the progression totally a different way, because you're not privy to, like you said, the laws of the land, what you can do, what you can't do, how to correct that, or even get in right standing with it.
Right.
Because you don't have the knowledge of it.
Right.
Right. So when we say ignorance being inherited, what it is sometimes we're born into a situation, a culture, a community that's just not pro-education. It's not a lot of teaching going on. And if it is, maybe it's only in a certain aspect
Right.
of survival.
Right.
So that's why when you encounter people that are of age, I'll say an accountable age,
Right.
and you listen to their conversation, or you see how they respond in a retail store, in a market, in a line, and you like, dude, you would think that they know that. Like, why are you over here asking people, why is the fruit a different price today than it was yesterday?
Right.
And I use that analogy because things have the propensity to change. That's their store. This is how they get down. So you can't say, well, yesterday, you know, the apples were 10 cents a pound. Now today they're 75 cents a pound. You guys are cheating. No. Look at the nature of that situation, meaning they have the flexibility to change their prices without notice.
Yeah.
And that isn't breaking the law. That actually, they're within the law.
Yeah.
You know, so I think how we inherited, you know, or how we inherit ignorance is when we're in an environment that fails to expose us.
Yeah, and fails to teach us. And it's so funny because I was having this conversation about a week ago. A friend of mine called me, and he was like, "Oh man, we down here at BOA," and I noticed.
Santa Monica?
No, the one in Beverly Hills, right on
Okay.
Sunset. I mean, we down here at BOA, man. We turned up with the bottles and we ordering food, man. Come down. I'm like, nah, I'm good. But anyway, the first thing out of my mouth, because I know him, the first thing out of my mouth was I said, look, man, make sure you guys leave a tip. Because, you know, society already looks at black people. When we walk into a restaurant, they're like, oh, damn, here they come.
Right.
You know, they don't know how to tip. They ain't going to tip.
Right.
And I'm going to say something. A lot of the servers out there, you know, white, Asian, Latino, whatever, don't be so quick to judge the black patron, because a lot of them, they've never been taught how to tip. I went to dinner one time with, I ain't gonna say his name, I almost said his name, but I went to a dinner. I went to the dinner one time with a close friend of mine, and we went to the Cheesecake Factory in the Marina. Well, the bill had to be, I remember this like it was yesterday, and this was probably like almost a decade ago. Man, the bill was like $360. It was just me, him, and one of his buddies who he brought with him out of town. He left $2. He didn't know no better though. He thought that some people think that tipping is
$2.
some people thinking that tipping is optional. It's not optional. A lot of these servers. Let me rewind that. All the servers make their living off the tips. So when you don't tip them, you messing with their money. So I had to pull him to the side and say, look, man, you can't. I said, look at the bill, look at the tax, double the tax, and that's how you come up with your tip. That will over tip a lot of times. You're over tipping when you double it. If the tax is $10 and you leave them a 20, you've actually over tipped. You probably tipped 20% instead of tipping the 15, 18%, whatever. But a lot of people, black, white, Latina, Asian, they've never been taught. That's a deal breaker for me. If I go out with a female and she don't know how to tip, it's a wrap. Oh no, it's a wrap.
Okay, does that mean she's selfish, or does that mean that she's just ignorant?
That means, I don't want to use the word ignorant, that she's ignorant, but that means that was an ignorant gesture that she just did.
She didn't know.
She probably never knew.
She didn't know.
Like the judge say, ignorance of the law is not a defense.
Okay.
You have to go learn that for yourself. So people who don't know how to tip, let me give you a tip 101. It's easy. Double the tax.
Does that constitute class as well?
Yes, it does.
Would you consider that as a level of class?
If you
Not tipping,
yes.
or
Oh, no,
not knowing about tipping.
no class.
Okay, all right.
And you need to learn these things for yourself. Me and you, we didn't grow up with a silver spoon in our mouth.
No.
We didn't even get taken to dinner as kids.
No.
But as we got older, we learned ourselves.
And we learned how to eat, not only first and foremost at home, but at other people's house. When we did eat at other people's house, we knew how
to conduct ourselves.
Yeah.
So you have to find you have to find it in your own psyche and your own responsibility level as an adult and say, okay, let me figure this thing out on my own.
Gotcha.
So that's why every time I go to a restaurant and when other comes to serve me, I already feel the energy. Because the first thing in their mind, they're thinking like, I really don't want to serve them because I know that the bill going to be $60-something and they're going to leave me $2.
Right.
But I always tip for the people who don't tip.
Yeah, because
they're like, oh no, he know. Oh yeah.
I hear you, because I was recently in Manhattan Beach. We got to fall through there one day. It's a breakfast spot, right? It's called Captain.
Don't say Captain Kids. That's garbage.
No, not Captain Kids. This is another.
So a breakfast spot?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It's like it's super good,
Okay.
right? So anyway, I was over there. They were all cordial and everything, even the guy that was sitting next to me. But the bottom line is this: the waitress, she took my order. She brought me one thing back. I asked her if she could heat up my syrup or something.
Right.
And I didn't see her for the duration of the time I ate.
Right.
Never came back.
Yeah.
Checked on me or nothing.
Yeah.
So, it seems like they know the comeback at the end. So when she came back, I think she was so busy, she didn't even is everything okay?
Acknowledge the
because
fact that
other people started taking my plate away.
Right.
But at the end of the day, man, I still tipped her. I think my meal was probably like $13. I just left for $20. And I just rolled. I didn't try to say, well, hey, how you doing? I'm leaving or whatever.
Yeah.
I just felt like I got my food.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I didn't have a lot of conversation with my waitress, but I understood that as servant leaders, you appreciate being served.
Yeah.
So it was natural for me to just
leave a gratuity.
Yeah. And that was way over what the meal, what I should have tipped her.
The tax on that was probably $1.60.
Right. It doesn't sound like a whole lot of money.
Even if it was $2, yeah. But you tipped her.
I tipped her.
You over tipped her.
I tipped her.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I appreciated, being served.
Right.
And I was hungry.
Right.
So but you're right. It goes back to what we learned. It goes back to class. You don't have to try and impress anybody to to get an accolade, but I think you must come into the knowledge of certain things and become aware so that you can properly represent yourself.
Oh yeah.
See, it's about representation of you first and foremost, and those that are attached to you.
Oh yeah.
Because when they see you coming into those places to eat and all that, and you leaving $1 and $1.15, and then when you bring somebody with you, your wife, your kids, they like, oh man.
Oh, I know. Oh,
I
trust me.
really don't want to deal
Oh
with
no,
him.
I know, and that's why everywhere I go, I leave my mark, and that's why, because when I go to places, I mean, people that know me, I'm a creature of habit. I'll continue to keep going back.
Yeah.
So people begin to know who I am. But one thing, no server will ever say that this dude that came in there, oh, this dude tipped. I make sure that I over tip, and especially if the server is pleasant and their energy is good. They gon' when I leave out of there, they ain't gonna forget me. When they see me coming back, they gonna be running to come serve me, because I make sure, you know, I tip. And even when I have to ask them, hey, you know, can you take this back? Because I always say it in a pleasant way, and I always make sure that they may not like my, you know, persistence then, but when the bill comes and we walk out of there, they're gonna be like, oh, okay, he
My
you know,
God.
oh yeah, oh, he made up for all that, you know. So yeah, but that's a trait of ignorance, man. Not being able to tip and not learning proper etiquette with certain things, you know. And I think that's probably one of my biggest pet peeves is ignorance. Oh, I can't handle it, dude.
Well,
I cannot handle it. That's probably one of my biggest pet peeves is ignorance.
well, I think what irritates me is when you don't want to correct it.
Oh,
When you don't want to take it as constructive criticism.
right.
Not being dogmatic, but I think when you pull a person aside and say, listen, there's a certain way we should have done that. And then they don't want to.
They don't want to accept it. They don't want to receive it.
I'm cool.
Oh yeah,
Because
as you should.
Because I think we're all learning, you know, and this is a process that, you know, none of us have arrived. We're all getting better. We're all sharpening our skills. You know,
We all a work in progress.
we're all a work in progress. So I have a low tolerance for ignorance.
I have a zero tolerance for it.
Yeah.
I can't take it, man.
Yeah, I think
I cannot take it.
Elder Turner, you know, we talk about it all the time too. He had zero tolerance.
That's how I have zero tolerance for
Yeah.
ignorance, man.
Yeah.
I think it's the ugliest trait you can have, whether you're white, black, Latina, Asian. There's ignorance in every race, and I've seen it in every race. And I'm like, oh wow, you know.
Well,
it's uglier when it comes from women.
Yeah,
Oh
I think
man,
so.
it's
yeah.
so ugly when it comes from women.
Because I always equate it to class.
It's a class act, yeah. It
I
is
always
class.
equate it to class.
Yeah, it's about class.
Yeah, yeah. Now, okay, would you consider this a bad habit or just ignorance? A woman who cursed like a sailor. Just profane language.
Well, for one, I can't date no woman like that.
Okay. What would you
I can't-
consider
I
that
can't do
ignorant?
potty mouth.
Because
I-
we on the educational
I can't do potty mouth women.
and they'll tell you this even on any academic level. They'll say that people use ebonics or they use profanity when they're not able to really find the words to express
And
themselves.
I think there's a time to use profanity and there's a time not to. And I mean, there's been a few women that I've actually dated and I've had to say, you know, watch your mouth. It's just
Oh, yeah.
because I think a woman, when I view a woman, I view her as
Soft and feminine.
I put women on a pedestal and I look at them as they're not supposed to have the same traits and habits that men have. I don't even like to hear it coming too much out of a man's mouth. I'm like, dude, watch your mouth. So when I hear it from a woman and she's using these 4-letter words when she thinking it's cute, it's ignorant.
Okay.
So is it ignorant or is it class? I think it's a little bit of both, because any woman that's a real woman, they're not going to use that kind of language. It's not going to be a part of their vernacular. You know, we all, maybe not you, but you know, we all may say a few curse words here and there when we get angry or whatever, but I just know women and men that's just every letter to come out of their mouth, every other word is a curse word, Oh man, I can't do that. I've had to tell women, watch your mouth.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, some of that language.
It's irritating.
Woo!
It's irritating to me.
Yeah, it's I can't do it.
I mean, because at some point it's like, is that all you're gonna say?
Well,
are you gonna articulate to me? Because all you've been saying is these same 4-letter words or 3-letter words the whole time you've been talking. So I'm like, I'm not getting nothing out of the conversation.
Hey, look, I've had women get mad at me. I was dating a woman, you know, and you know, this was my girl, you know, and she, you know, sometimes she can get off at the potty mouth, and I'm like, honey, watch your mouth. And she would get an attitude if I say, you know, watch your mouth, and, you know, she would try to justify why she, just watch your mouth. It's not ladylike.
It's always angry. I was just upset.
Well, no, not even upset. It's just, you know, it's some women and some men, but in particularly, you know, some women, because I don't date men, but, you know, some women, man, they just don't like to be, it goes back to what we were talking about, the submissive thing. They just don't like to be told anything.
Okay.
They don't like authority. They don't want you to say this. They want to just do what they want to do and say whatever they want to say. And if you jump in and say something, they get an attitude.
So
it's not cool.
So when we think of inheriting or the inheritance of it, can that be corrected? Should that be addressed so that it can be corrected?
See, that's easy to address. Yeah, it can. See, that's just a matter of, you know, instead of putting a piece here, you put it there. That's easy. So because that's just a part of, that's kind of a habit. It's like a person that that maybe swear, like we just like swears too much. They can say, okay, you know, I gotta watch myself and things that I say, and that can be fixed.
Okay.
You know, you instead of you swearing 100%, you know, you can bring it down to 75, and then bring it to 50, and then bring it to 25. It probably won't ever all the way leave your vernacular, but you can. That can be tamed.
So when we think of ignorance being, and then, you know, people inheriting ignorance, do we also say that ignorance was condoned in that community, in that household,
well, it wasn't,
from that first teacher?
It wasn't that it was condoned. It was that even the person that they learned it from, or it was just in their nature to be that way. They don't look at it as ignorance. They look at it as like, this is just the way it is. It's almost like those 5 generations of people that's gangbangers. It's generational. 5 generations of people that was on welfare. You know, the mother passed down to this mother, and then that mother passed down to her kids. And it's just it's just passed down generationally. Instead of somebody saying, let me break the curse.
Gotcha.
You know, no one breaks the curse.
So that's,
and at some point you have to break the curse and be like, oh wait, I can't go that route.
But that's exactly that. I was alluding to that because it's like, okay, now that you saw the first 2 generations carry this on, and we're in the 3rd generation, and we're still, you know, accepting.
Yeah.
We're of acceptance of this ignorant state of being. Do we now say, well, my forefathers was that way, that's why I'm that way? Because I think at some point, dude, it's a decision too. It's like they choose to stay in that comfort zone.
Yeah.
At some point, like, remember how many years ago people didn't want to come off the east side, dude.
You still got people over there.
They over there didn't want to come off the east side and don't know their way on the west side.
I know.
Don't know.
I know. I know.
I'm like,
I know.
Who does that?
Sometimes people don't want to go out and get it for themselves and say that, you know, there's better somewhere else, or, you know, I've been over here my whole life and I've grown comfortable and accustomed to this.
Right.
You know, you got people, man, that ain't never left the block. They ain't never left the neighborhood. They ain't never been on a plane.
Out of the state.
Yeah.
Never been on an airplane.
Yeah, but that's not ignorant. It's just a matter of, how do I want to fix this? You know, how can I change this? I mean, how can I kind of break this generational curse? Because you have a lot of stuff that's like generationally passed down. And some of it is positive and some of it is negative. And at some point you got to say, nah, I want a little better for myself. Like, I don't like that east side. I don't, that's why I don't go over there when mom, like, hey, she's having something over here for lunch. I'm not going over there. I grew up over there. I'm good.
Yeah. Some things, it depresses you because you want to see the change. because you know these people are genuinely good people. It's not like they're malicious and they're dangerous people. You want better for them, per se. And a lot of people that are in environments, not just the East Side, we got places across the country that are in Detroit, Michigan, and so on.
Right.
I think people become comfortable where they are. And I think it propels or it substantiates that particular place that they're in. But it's harmful not only to the individual, but to the human race.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think we should strive to know more, whether it's in a trade or a craft that you have. You gotta delve into it. I think I'm gonna tell you this too, and you can take it from here. But I believe that actors and actresses, because I've heard females categorize themselves as actors.
Okay.
So I just say this. I think they're some of the most intelligent people on the planet because they always sink into this character and become it, and some enhance it, right? But the research they do, it's like that's why they're so well-rounded and balanced, because they're researching everything that they do. And that makes them aware and acquainted with science, with technology, with athletics, with entertainment, with medicine. Think about it. When Denzel plays various roles, he not only becomes the character, he researches it to enough to where now, man, this guy is acquainted with that information.
Let me tell you something. No. When you say he becomes a character, people don't know this because I'm an actor. And everything you're saying is so true. You have to do the homework. And a teacher always tells you, you got to do the homework. You got to do the homework. And it's not about just saying, okay, this is Malcolm X, so let me look at a lot of footage on him, so let me imitate him. No. Denzel gets his wardrobe a couple of months before shooting, and he wears it.
He becomes that.
He wears
person.
it. He wears the wardrobe.
Huh?
He wears it.
Wait.
He gets his wardrobe for this. For example, let's say Malcolm X.
That was A.
He was Malcolm X a couple of months before they got on the set and started shooting, because he wore his wardrobe, he wore his glasses, he did everything that he became Malcolm months before they started shooting. So now once he get on the set, I'm Malcolm. Jamie did it when I was working for Ray.
Ray Charles.
When I was working for Ray,
it was great.
Jamie came down to the studio, and I was there once, and he came and met Ray, and he sat down with him at the piano, and they played and they talked, and Jamie just said he wanted to get a little feel of who Ray was, and he looked at a little footage, and he came back a second time, and then he said, okay, he ain't gonna come back no more, because he wanted to just get what he wanted to get for himself, and then everything else he was gonna just
create,
and that's what he did. When I watched him,
he was excellent.
I thought he was Ray, because I've been around Ray.
He was excellent.
Let me tell you something, man.
So he was very, very much.
Let me tell you something, dude.
Resembling Ray.
Let me tell you something, man. I know Ray, and I've been around Ray. That was my guy. Jamie was spot on.
Okay.
With the mannerisms, with the way with every little thing that Ray did.
Yeah.
Everything that Jamie did, I watched Ray do in person.
Okay.
And I'm like, oh man, this dude is, with the slapping of the knee and and just he was
Head
Ray.
movement.
He was Ray, dude. And Ray was just like that.
Wow.
He was just like that. So yeah, it goes back to what you were saying, like you said, like actors and they are extremely intelligent, man, because they have to do the homework.
Yeah.
It's like you.
I noticed.
It's like you being a pastor and you getting into your lesson with your book. Even though you know the book, people don't understand this. I don't think there's a book ever written that has many stories in it as the Bible. The Bible has some amazing stories. I mean, amazing story. So it's the same thing with you. When you sit down and prepare your lesson for Sunday, you got to get in your book. You pray about it first, and whatever God leads you to talk about that Sunday, then you do. And
you got to develop it.
Yeah, once you do, and once He gives you the word, Then you get in that book and you start, and then you get out there and you give it to them.
Yeah.
That's why, like people like you, pastors and pastors and singers or whatever. That's why it's easy for them to make a transition into being an actor. You're an actor up there in the pulpit. You know, you mean business, and everything you talking about is the real deal, but you putting on an act. Because you have to. You can't be up there.
You're illustrating.
You can't just be up there, okay, turn to page 6 of Romans 12. The Bible said, no one's going to listen to you. No one's coming back to your church.
Right.
But when you get up there and you really make the people
get animated.
Come on, man, you gotta make the people understand and feel what you're going through. So you are creating a character. I mean, you know, it's what you're doing. So it's the same thing.
Yeah, that's true.
You got to do the homework.
That's true, because you know, if you do it long enough, people in that assembly will pinpoint what are, you know, like major components of your delivery.
I know.
They'll know it,
dude.
I mean, it's like they'll know if you're in rare form. They'll know if you sluggish. Because they've seen you enough and heard you enough to know. Okay.
Plus, they know. That's like me, when I go to a movie or watch something on TV, I'm not watching it as a layperson. I'm watching it as an actor, a studied actor, because I've been taught acting. So when I'm watching a character or whatever, I'm like, nah. Or I'm like, yeah. Because I know I've been to school for this. Okay. So I see things a little differently. I'm looking at the casting. I'm looking at the actor. Is he believable or is she believable? I'm looking at the cinematography. I'm looking at everything from an artist standpoint. Okay. And that's like how you said, when there's other people in the audience, especially members that's been there for decades, or you in there and there's bishops and other pastors in there watching your performance, they know. And you know. You look at them like, oh yeah, this dude's a jackleg. Or you like, this dude's the real deal. Yeah. They know, man. You know the real deal from you like, nah, I ain't coming back.
Yeah. No, you're right. So the inheritance of what I would say give out, the thing that manifests from us is normally what we're woven in as a fabric.
Right.
Ignorance as an inheritance, we've seen for decades. We've seen reasons why. We've misunderstood, you know, why they would not want to, you know, sharpen, you know, themselves.
Yeah.
And it's all relevant. But I really believe that ignorance is our enemy.
Oh yeah.
It's detrimental to every aspect of our development. And I'm not saying that everybody has to go to college and get 2 and 3 degrees. I'm saying read, get information,
get it for
enhance yourself. Exactly. Enhance your skill, because you're not an island. You're not the only one in the world. And I've seen people go to retail stores and get straight frustrated. I mean, just upset, angry, you know, blaming the people that work there because they can't articulate their thoughts.
Yeah.
They can't explain why they feel treated, you know, mistreated.
Kind of
yeah, you know, and it's like, it's frustrating.
Yeah.
And it's of all ages. You see kids, you see middle age, you see elderly.
Yeah.
And I just think that we need to take a good look at this topic and really ask ourselves, is ignorance inherited?
Right.
And if so, how do we curb it?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna throw it back to you, you know, let you close us out. But I think this was a significant discussion that we can, you know, and we've been talking about it for days anyway. We're gonna bring some other people in so we can have some feedback, so that we can, you know, really push the line on this.
Okay. I just think people need to take a look at themselves at times, and before they start to act and before they start to say certain things, and they need to listen to themselves first and give themselves a pause and say, wait a minute, you know, maybe I could have said that, or maybe I can do it in a different way. And people have to be responsible for their own actions.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can't, you know, you can't get mad at someone because you're in the wrong. But the people sometimes don't know that they're in the wrong.
Yeah.
But sometimes you have to acknowledge the fact that, you know what, I was in the wrong on that, or I'm wrong on this. But you have a lot of, it's the topic we talked about a couple of weeks ago. You have a lot of people, they can't handle the truth. Really. And that's a form of the truth being, you know, placed upon you. You know, can you really handle the fact that, you know, I'm blocking these people from moving on in the street, but when they honk at me, I want to fight them? How ignorant is that?
I want to be belligerent.
You in the wrong.
Yeah.
So people got to say, instead of someone saying, oh man, my bad, I'm sorry, let me move.
Yeah.
Right. People don't do that no more. And that's why you have to really, really be careful these days, because you'll end up in prison, man.
Or getting hurt. Somebody, you know, you never know, man. They might pull out one of them jammies on you.
Well, it's the same thing that happened to the little boy. You know, God rest the little boy's soul, the little boy that got shot. Now, all of a sudden, it came out the real reason why the guy shot. Even though it was, I don't condone him shooting, but he shot because the woman flipped him off in the car and was saying something, and then he put out a gun and started shooting. He didn't think it was a kid in the car, and he shot, and the little kid got shot. But because of her ignorance, and I don't know who was in the wrong or who wasn't, but for you to flip someone off for whatever reason, because I've been flipped off for something that I didn't even do on the road before. And I'm thinking, well, what did I do? She did it. The guy was a loose cannon. He put out a gun. Her son's dead. Because she did an ignorant thing. So everybody out there, you got to check yourselves. You know, we all have to check ourselves by some of the things that we do and some of the actions that we create. We need to take a look at ourselves first and say, oh, man, you know what? That was pretty ignorant on my part, you know. So, and we have to be aware, and we have to be accountable. So that's all I got to say.
Man, that was great. That was a great discussion. You know, I'm really looking forward to bringing in some more guests.
Yes, sir.
We reached out to Stan the Man.
Yeah. Oh, I got Bear coming in.
Good.
I talked to him the other day. He's like, man, come on, dude. He's like, hey, just let me know.
Good.
And some other stuff.
We'll reach out to Daryl Watson.
Yeah.
And you know, just some other guys. Just, you know, put some faces to the names.
Right.
And you know, do what we do. But thanks so much once again for following us on this platform. We are really trying to bring you real content that you can share with others. So remember to like, subscribe, and share. Look for us on Tuesdays and Fridays, where we'll bring you new content. Sometimes we'll bring something in between those days. But look for us. We're going to start trying to give you more information. And we got some bells and whistles that we're still putting together to where we can have some interaction, live comments that'll be coming across the screen. So Charlie Mack and I can, you know, address them as they coming on, you know, with your names, where you're from, and all that good stuff. So bear with us, but we're going to enhance this thing. I feel summertime, as it comes to a close, we're gonna hit the fall in a whole different way. So stay with us. You know, great to have the sponsorship that we've been having since we started, and we're looking forward to much more. Thanks. Peace.